Hi, good morning everyone. It's me Ankita Acharya.
And this is Nikita Bania.
And the lesson that we are discussing today is My Body, My Rights.
Empowerment and advocacy for self-determination. So let's talk about the goals and learning outcomes of the lesson. This lesson teaches and empowers the learners to understand boundaries, body rights, and assertive communication to promote safer connection and relationships. And the learning outcomes are acknowledging individuals' rights and boundaries, describing and explaining consent, deliberating of phrases through role playing, and finding a safer way to communicate your boundaries and feelings.
So now, talking about today's lesson outline. This lesson will consist of introduction to concept of rights related to body anatomy and self-determination,
definition of consent,
some slides with clear phrases,
and practically teaching students to say assertive phrases like no, please stop, etc.
Introduction to self-advocacy and assertive communication, including the types of communication which are assertive, passive, and aggressive responses.
And understanding the boundaries.
And today we will be engaging in a short interactive role-playing activity as well.
And this will be the end of the lesson. Now, talking about the duration of sexuality awareness lesson and learning activity, it will approximately take 45 minutes, 30 minutes for the lesson content and 15 minutes for the activities. And the age group we're targeting for our lesson is young individual under the in between the age of 18 to 30 enrolled in a program for supported independent living. And the resources and supplies that we are using for sexuality awareness lesson and learning activities are tapes, some chalks, card with sample phrases, and some yes or no signs. Now let's get into the introduction to concept of rights related to body anatomy and self-determination. Being aware of one's own body right is very important for empowerment and self-respect. People can gain confidence and control over their lives by having the freedom to choose how they want to be physically touched and how private they want to keep things. Self-determination promotes personal development and problem-solving abilities by enabling people to make significant decisions in their daily life. It also encourages people to speak up for themselves, improving their quality of life and fostering respect for individuality.
Now let's get into the introduction to consent. So what is consent? Consent simply means giving permission or saying yes. Consent should be clear, mutual, and voluntary. Remember, it's your choice to say yes or no, and both of them are completely okay. Now, let's talk about assertive communication. What is assertive communication? Assertive communication simply means expressing our feelings or point of view in direct and clear way without being aggressive. Assertive communication is the combination of respectfulness, directness, and confidence. Standing up for yourself while respecting others is simply the assertive communication. Now let's talk about different type of responses which are assertive, passive, and aggressive. In assertive communication, an individual clearly states what they feel confidently. Some example can be, I don't like that, please stop. Whereas in passive communication, an individual hold back or they are scared to say what they think. Example can be, I guess it's fine even when it is not. Whereas in aggressive communication, an individual expresses oneself with aggression and frustration, and the example can be, stop it right now, in an angry tone. Remember, assertive communication is always the best way to communicate.
Now let's get into some assertive phrases. I don't want to be touched right now.
Please respect my space.
Please keep your hands to yourself.
This is private and I would like to keep it that way.
I need some time alone.
This is my personal space. Please do not enter without asking.
No, I'm not comfortable with that.
I understand you mean well, but I'm not interested.
Now let's get into a classroom task where everyone should get off from their seat and move around. And
practice saying some of the assertive phrases with your classmates and role play. Now let's talk about self-advocacy. Self-advocacy simply means standing up for oneself, understanding your needs and desire, being your own voice, and taking control of decision of your own life. Now, what are the importance of self-advocacy? Self-advocacy promotes personal boundaries, confidence and independence, and improves self-esteem. It also helps to ensure your rights are being respected. Now, some tips for practicing self-advocacy. Know your right. You have right to feel safe. You have right to feel respected. And the second step is speak up. Assertive communication is the best way to express what you want and what you don't. So, just use the assertive communication style. Lastly, ask for help. If you need support, it is okay to ask for help. Asking for support is not a weakness, it's a strength.
Let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are the limits that specify our own comfort level in any kind of relationships. They support the defense of your sentiments, personal spaces, and general emotional health. Boundaries are about self respect. It's okay to say no. Body language matters, and boundaries are really flexible. It depends upon the circumstances in the relationship we hold. Now, setting boundaries. Setting boundaries. We gotta be clear. Recognizing and expressing our boundaries is essential. Maintaining consistency. When need, enforce your boundaries. Be consistent. Make use of assertive languages. Use phrases like I need some space or I'm not comfortable with certain things. And observing the boundaries of others, requesting permissions before touching or disclosing any sort of personal information. We need a consent, we need a permission. And taking a note while someone sets a boundary helps too.
Now let's get engaged in an interactive activity.
And the name of this interactive activity could be Personal Space Circle. And the purpose is to help students understand and practice boundaries and assertive communications.
So first of all, let's make 3 circles on the floor with the help of tape or a chalk.
And naming the each circle, first one be intimate, second personal, and third one the social circle.
Now explaining the students about each zone and what they represent. Intimate represent the family, personal could be friends, and social could be the people we do not know well.
And let's get into the role playing, consent practicing. So, dividing student in the pair of 2, and students practice saying or asking and responding to the questions like, can I sit next to you? And the other student practices to answer either yes or no.
Now let's get into boundary practice and assertive communication role playing. So one of the students will be standing in the center of the circle and the other students will take turn standing in different circle, assuming it is their space.
Now, students in the circle will ask permission from each other if they can enter in their own personal space.
The other responds saying yes or no, and different example of assertive communication like please respect my space, I want to be alone right now.
And at last, we do have a feedback and discussion session to reflect back on their experiences during the activity and get a better understanding of the importance of consent and their personal boundaries.
And we have gathered some discussion questions as well, which can be, how did you feel while saying no?
Was asking for permission respectful?
What did you learn about respecting your personal space?
And why is it important to take permissions?
So, through this interactive activity, students can learn about consent, personal space, and assertive communication. So, this is the end of our today's lesson, My Body, My Right. Thank you. Bye.